Hey guys, I just wanted to say a couple of things. Just a couple of things about me and my perspective and why I say the things I do in my videos. This isn't going to be a comprehensive video. First things first, I love women. Also, I love black women. I lived in 3 different countries in Africa. I grew up overseas. So my approach to a lot of things is going to be foreign to you, but you don't know it's foreign because I speak perfect English. I learned English out of a book. In fact, my parents corrected me at every turn. It was not a possibility to say anything incorrectly in front of my parents. So after being corrected over and over and over and over and over again for years, by the time I got back to the United States, I spoke like this. And even the people in my family were like, "You're so proper, it's just annoying." Now, why did I say I love women, I love black women? Because I do not believe, it's not even a question of belief. The statistics of the problems that are going on between men and women has nothing to do with black people who are located in the United States. The problems that the black community has are not the problems that the white community has. The problem with white men and white women is not exactly the same with black men and black women. Now, for black people, that should be fantastic news. And I've given you stats upon stats upon stats. I've given you the raw data, and the raw data does not bear out the same problems that white men are having with dating and marrying and divorcing white women. So when I make a video that says the MRA, men going their own way, doesn't apply to black men, it actually does not. We don't see eye to eye on the problems. The reasons for white men going their own way and the issues that they have to cause them to, quote unquote, go their own way is non-existent almost with black men. So many white men take what they see on TV and what they hear in the news and what they watch on the news and read in magazines and think that that is the black race. And then I come along and say something completely and utterly different. And they say, you can't be right because on the news it says that black men are suffering at the hands of black women just like we are. And it's not true. Everybody wants to think that the black people are the same as white people. We are not. We don't suffer anywhere near the same things as white people. Black men and white men are not congruous. They're not the same. None of the problems that are rampant in the relationships, in the legal terms between white men and white women apply to black people in general at all. What you don't see are the millions of middle-class black people who are happily married with children, with good grades, their children having good grades, living in the same house for 30 years. You don't see that. You don't see that because they don't want you to see that. And I keep saying black men and black women should get married if you even remotely like each other. You should get married. Because when a black man and a black woman get married, their entire dynamic completely changes. Their entire world completely changes. The two together become something where the two separate were not even remotely anything to write home about. And that's what the stats bear out that I read, that I look at, that I research. It's like a miraculous being. It's like sun-kissed gods come down when black people get married to each other. And this notion that you see all of these interracial couples is almost non-existent, because when you look at the stats, 97% of black women marry black men. 93% of black men marry black women. So we're seeing like 3-4% of black people, men or women, marrying other races. Yes, so that means black people who are going to be interracial are going to marry Asians, Latinos, and whites. So this whole always Hollywood trying to present the interracial couple is trying to make that catch on. And taking the line from Heather's, quit trying to make interracial couples happen. It's never going to happen. You can't even get it down to 95% in black women. You can't even get it down. It's consistently 97%. It's not going to happen. Quit. And why do they? Why do black men and black women marry each other in such huge numbers? It's because the black woman, without anything said, understands when the black man comes home, closes the door, takes off his shoes, and sighs. He doesn't have to say a word. She already knows. Black divorce is somewhat of a rarity. So the whole notion that black men should be going their own way or should be battling for men's rights doesn't apply to black men. Doesn't apply. And I don't hate women. I don't hate black women. If I have over now, I just hit it, 1,000 videos. In those thousands of videos, I have video after video after video talking about how fantastic black women are. Look at the middle-class black woman. Look at the upper-class black woman. I'm an observer of class. Black people refuse to observe class. I'm an observer of class. And a lot of these things that you see, oh, black people are going to jail. That is a tiny percent, less than 8% of the black population. And you know what? That 8% are the people that repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. And you know what the news does? It counts each repeat as a completely separate and new number. So if a black guy goes to jail 3 times, he's counted as 3 people. That's how you do stats, baby. Count them as separate. You don't count them as one. You count them as separate. So then you can make up stuff like, 30% of black people. No, it's not 30%. It's 8%. And that 8% repeats. They go back to jail all the time. You can't make a black person go to jail who's not a criminal, nor a criminal type. A lot of things that the news would have you believe about black people is made up, false. It's an agenda. They're trying to accomplish something. Why are they now telling you a white policeman was shot dead by a black man? Do they do that to anybody else? A white policeman was shot dead by an Asian. I've never even heard that. A white policeman was shot dead by a Latino. I've never heard that. A white policeman was shot by a Jew. Now, do you think it's possible that an Asian, a Latino, or a Jew has ever shot and killed a policeman? I believe it is. I believe it's very possible that all three of those instances have happened, but I never hear it. A white policeman was shot by a white guy. Never hear it. Never. And in fact, I don't hear it because they don't say it like that, right? What do they say? The very dangerous Steve Williamson shot and killed a policeman. That's it. That's how they report white on white crime. They don't say white. In fact, a lot of times they don't even report it as if it was a human. They'll just say something like a policeman was killed. That's it. There's no other party on the end of that sentence. A policeman was shot dead. A policeman was ambushed. What about that thing that happened in Vegas here where the policemen were shot by the 2 crazy people? Which I question, because these quote-unquote 2 crazy people were at the Bundy Ranch, which is another thing that I question because it seems that they were actually targeting somebody from the Bundy Ranch to suggest that the people at the Bundy Ranch were crazy and that the Bundy Ranch was harboring crazy people. But when they went to report it, they said 2 police officers were ambushed and killed. How can you be ambushed and killed while you're sitting down eating in a restaurant? That's not an ambush. An ambush is when you're walking and all of a sudden, from ahead of you and behind you, your attackers launch an attack that you were not suspecting. If you're sitting at a table and people walk in yelling and screaming, that's not an ambush. But they reported it as an ambush. I mean, it's just horrible reporting to begin with. But this is how they're reporting things of black people. A black man shot and killed a woman. A black man. So now you have people all over the internet saying when they report something in the white way of reporting it, a policeman was shot and killed. Must have been a black man. Yep, those black men are so dangerous and criminal. In fact, I had an argument today on Twitter, and the guys broke out with stats. You see, 50% of all crime is committed by black men. And then he said the magic words, per capita. Let me show you how per capita works. If you have 2 people in a room and one of them eats salad, you can now say 50% of the people eat salad per capita. 1 in 2 people eat salad. They have a worse statistic now. They go, 1 in 3 black men are in jail. How do they reach this? This is a per capita thing. Remember I said they count them separately? So every time that same guy goes to jail, they count him separately. So this 8%, if they go to jail again, they're all counted as separate. So that's 16%. If they go to jail one more time, 32%. If they go to jail one more time, what's that number at now? You see, 50% of black men didn't go to jail. 50% of black men didn't shoot people. 50% of black men aren't drug dealers. It's all false. It's all made up. We're gonna rearrange these numbers so they fit our agenda. 90% of black people have never seen jail, never spoken to an officer, a policeman. Does that blow your mind? 70% of black people never get divorced. Never get divorced. Does that blow your mind? I believe 80% of black men are married. I think that's the stat. 80% of black men are married. So you cannot have a number that says 70% of all black children are born out of wedlock. How in the hell do they reach that statistic? It's impossible. What are they doing? They're making stuff up. They're finagling the numbers. You can't have a 60, I believe is the woman's score, to an 80% non-divorce rate amongst black people, and they have children, and yet have a statistic that says that 70% of all black children are born out of wedlock. What are they doing? How are they arriving at that number like that? Well, here you go again. If Shaniqua has 12 children, she has now knocked out 12 families. They don't count them as one. They count them as 12 separate people. And you're going to say, well, of course, they're 12 different children. No, they're not 12 different children. It's one woman. And if Shaniqua has 12 children and Roshandalay has 12 children, can you see where this is going? Let's say 500 black women have 10 or more children each. 500, right? There's 50 million black Americans in the United States. 500 black women can knock out the other 50 million children born. It's statistically, it's ridiculous. So they don't say 500 women had children by different men and they're not married. No, they say 70% of black children are born out of wedlock, which is an impossibility because I just told you that 80% of black men get married. And you know what? A lot of these stats completely disappear if you say, okay, let's say we're going to talk about middle-class black people. A lot of these things are zero. 0% of children are born out of wedlock. Let's talk about upper-class blacks. 0% of black children are born out of wedlock. 0% of black women are divorced. 0% of black men are divorced. You see what I just did? I refined the data to only include the people that actually matter. When you're poor, you make bad life decisions. You have sex with any and everybody that you want to. It doesn't even matter to you if you have a child or if you don't. You can even make decisions for other people, like murdering your unborn child. You can go to jail and not think anything of it. So if you include all of those people into the stats for black people, then you can say all sorts of stuff. I'm a stickler for details, and the details is most of these stats are made up, completely made up. There's a stat that says that they keep repeating, there are more black men in jail than there are in college. This one is so ridiculous. So they take, look how sinister and evil and vile this is. They take any black man that has been to jail, that is on parole, that is on community service, that's in jail, that's about to be released. They take all of that. All of that, they round up all of that stuff, all of those numbers they all include. And then they go over to college and they go, we're only going to count the 18-year-old black men in college. Not 19, 18. And that's going to be our data point on the other side. They're not going to include the 16-year-olds, the 14-year-olds, the 19-year-olds, the 20, 21, 24, 25. They don't even include masters. They don't include PhDs. They don't even include postdoctorate. They don't include the 50-year-olds returning to school. None of that. Nope. Those people don't count. Just like the unemployment rate, quote unquote, are the people who are collecting unemployment checks right now as I do my report. It doesn't include the people who actually don't go to work, don't have a job, only have a part-time job, are working two part-time jobs and cannot make ends meet, where before they had a full-time job and the wife could stay home with the kids. They don't count that. They only take the people. I mean, it's rampant. So how is it that you can understand the unemployment thing is a lie, but you can't understand that the black stats are a lie? This is how I see the world. I have a very broad view of everything. I understand that we're under attack. Black people are under attack. And all of these little tiny groups, the men's rights and MGTOW, the feminists, they're all trying to say, oh, come join us. Why would a black woman join the feminist movement? She has never been oppressed by a black man. In fact, the black man got the right to vote as soon as she got the right to vote. The black man got the right to work wherever he wanted as soon as she got the right to work wherever she wanted. This stuff doesn't apply to black people. None of it. But I'm getting attacked left and right. You don't know what you're talking about. You're trying to ignore data. No, I'm not trying to ignore data. You are. Thank you for watching the Shikama Live Show.